Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Geek Center. My name is Corey Morissette. I'm your Right Honorable Geek Commissioner, and today I have the pleasure of being joined by the winner of one of last week's matches, Mr. Nick Big Sal Carley. How's it going today, Nick?
I'm doing great. Nice, beautiful morning today in, my quarantined household. Nothing's getting in here. But anyways.
Yes, there you go. Coronavirus won't get you there. If people stay at home, you got nothing better to do. Watch Geek Center, watch the Movie Trivia Face-Off, watch the other tremendous fan leagues around the internet as well. You've got, of course, featured presentation. You got Multiplex. You've got Full Metal. You got ourselves. All fantastic. Actually, our good friend Tony Heald on the MTFO Discord last night was nice enough to put links to all the other leagues, all the other podcasts, YouTube shows from our fellow contributors here. So I encourage everyone to go check those out. They really are fantastic. And of course, you got nothing better to do. Stay away from the coronavirus, stay inside, watch the Schmodown, watch us. You finally got time to get caught up on all the YouTube watching that you've been putting off for so long.
Absolutely. Heck yes.
All right, so I mentioned Nick actually won his match last week. Let's talk a little bit about that. You took on the sniper, Hunter Chambliss. Now, you had been away from the fan leagues for a little bit, kind of took some time off. Were you using that time to kind of study and prepare for your big return?
I definitely was. I would say I would be lying if I wasn't doing that. But I just typical real life things that I had to step away for a while and do some stuff. But I was also watching movies and watching other matches and realizing what I was doing wrong. And like I said in the intro of said match, a lot of it was just me getting into my head and, not listening to the 15-second timer or just doing whatever. And I felt like, and being with and having Nico in there absolutely helped. He came on kind of later, but he's absolutely been helpful in that situation. And just talking with other players, being like, look, one question at a time, that's all you need. So, normally, like I missed that first question. Previous me would probably have stumbled a little bit, but I feel like I recovered pretty well. 7 out of 10 is pretty good. I can't complain with that. And, and I think it was all the stars aligned with Spinner's choice in the second round. So it was, I had literally just finished watching Harry Potter series earlier that day. So that was a pretty easy no-brainer for Spinner's choice. So
well, I saw a different Nick Carley in this match than I did in your first two matches. You were unsure, it seemed like, in those first two, second-guessing yourself, apologizing for going to multiple choice, and just always kind of in your head. And that wasn't the case in this third match. We saw a confident Nick Carley, and maybe talk about the advantages of having a manager, because not too many competitors in the MTFO right now have a manager, but it really seems like a huge advantage.
Oh, it certainly helps. Yeah, it's all about they're mainly there to just talk you off the edge. It's the best thing I can think of right now. But just keeping you calm, being like, okay, here's your options. If you land here, and they help you look at, they look at the other competitor and be like, okay, we know this guy's really strong at this. So, if you're strong at it too and you spin it, it's good to take that category off the wheel and stuff like that. But the big thing is just keeping the manager is keeping the competitor confident and being able to be like, hey, you've got this. Clearly, it. Just, take a deep breath and answer the question because you know the answer. That seems the biggest advantage from my perspective.
Well, and it certainly worked because you put in by far your best performance in the MTFO, and you actually jumped up 10 spots in the Geektacular rankings here. We're going to get to those a little bit later, but we're going to talk about this week's matches real quick. Not a lot of graphics to support these two because they feature players we haven't seen too much of. Match that we're taping here in just a few hours actually features your manager, Nico Suave Regoli. He was originally supposed to take on TJ Starman, but TJ works on a college campus, and of course right now with the situation in the world with coronavirus, he had to work today to help evacuate the campus and lock everything down. So he's unable to compete. So taking his place today is another player I believe you're familiar with. Adam Collins is going to step in.
Ooh, yeah, no, that's I won't lie that of course, the reasoning is absolutely understandable, but I was kind of hoping because TJ Starman is one of my earlier losses, so I was kind of hoping for a pseudo, from a pseudo win against him. But first of all, Nico's been doing Geek for sure, and just fan leagues in general since the beginning, and he knows the game. He knows the Schmodown game for sure, and he's been studying like crazy because we've been studying together. And so I think he's ready to take it on. But honestly, the one negative here is he's playing somebody that we absolutely have no evidence, like no tape on. I mean, we know he's shown up. He's actually competing for a #1 contenders match in singles in multiplex. So the guy knows a lot of movies, but it's just his geek knowledge. It's still kind of up in the air. So if Nico spins opponents, we're not really sure what he would give him. So that's just one of those times that, playing a brand new player, it could be a great thing. It could be a bad thing. You never know what you're going to get.
And I can't even tell you what's going to be on the wheel for that match because I haven't gotten that information yet. Both competitors are keeping it very tight to the vest. But I know Nico not happy with his first match in the MTFO against Nazario Montenegro, especially his first round. He's sub 50%, I believe, in round 1. He rebounded in round 2. I think he got 9 out of a possible 10, excuse me, in round 2, coronavirus. But he said after that match, that is not indicative of the way he plays, and he was going to work hard to kind of avenge that performance and really kind of show the MTFO what he's capable of. And I'm, for one, expecting a very strong performance out of Nico today. How about you?
Oh, I do too. All the respect to Adam, but I know Nico's been working super hard for this. And I think it'll be closer than people expect it to be because Adam just knows a lot of movies. So I'm sure he'll still know a majority of these questions. So they both know the game very well, but I do give the slight edge to Nico because Nico's been a lot more geek centric over the last year, if not longer. So, and he, like you said, he wants this. So I think it'll definitely get to round 3, but I think Nico will have a sizable lead enough that it probably, he may have to answer as 2 or as 3, but I think Nico has this at least, a fairly competitive match.
I have to agree with you. I see a very focused Nico coming into this match. And Adam Collins, I don't know all that well. He just signed up for this match yesterday. I know he's very gung-ho, and no pressure on him, right? He's stepping in a situation where no one's really expecting him to win. Nobody knows much about him, and he's coming in there with 24 hours notice. So he's going on there with no pressure at all, and sometimes that's a huge benefit. You're not gripping the mouse so tight. You're not, missing easy questions that you just kind of misremember because you're under a lot of stress. He can just kick back and just answer questions, and everybody's always got a puncher's chance. So I would agree with you, but don't count out Adam Collins. I think in this one.
I think it's going to be a lot closer. I mean, and people who know Adam will definitely agree. I think this is going to be a really good match for sure.
I can't wait for that one, and we're taping another one on Sunday. Because we love you so much, MTFO, we're giving you 2 Geektacular matches again this week for all the people who are quarantined, like poor David Garcia, and folks like yourself too, Nick, out in Alabama. And this is going to be a fun one, I think. Sandy Robinson, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to call him the Sandman because of his loss to John Mariano, but Sandy Robinson, of course, the Grand Poobah over at Full Metal, he's taking on Caleb Boatman. And I know Caleb isn't giving himself much of a shot in this one, but he just wanted to have fun, and it's going to be a fun match against Sandy. And I'm really, really looking forward to this one.
Oh yeah, and actually, as of recently, this has become a battle of multiplex versus Full Metal because Caleb is now one of the showrunners for multiplex.
That's right. Yeah.
So this is a big showdown in multiple senses, but. Both of these guys haven't competed in this league, but both of them have done. Sandy has done lots of work in the multiplex fandom leagues and Full Metal Geek and all that stuff. He is super strong, and then Caleb is just. That's just his personality. He's not going to be super cocky, but he is a good player. He is one half of the team champions in multiplex fandom right now. So, but he's always like, oh, my partner, Thomas Scully, carries everybody. But it's like, you're still answering questions. So I think in his thing, he feels like he's not as strong in the core categories, MCU, DCEU, Middle Earth, all like these categories that we're playing here. I think that's why he kind of feels that way. But you cannot ever count out Caleb because it's just, He's just a great player across the board. This is going to be a knockdown, drag out fight. I mean, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're absolutely right. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I could let you know in that match, I do have the extra categories on the wheel. Caleb requested movie release dates, which is a popular one. And Sandy requested Transformers.
Oh, there's no question about there's an ongoing thing about how much Sandy loves the Transformers movies and everyone else. Well, not everyone else, but the majority of people just give him a bunch of flack for it. So, no, that's I bet he was so excited to see Transformers on that wheel because they don't ever ask Transformers questions in the other league. So.
Yeah, when he saw the list and saw Transformers, that answer came back very fast when he wanted on the wheel.
Yeah.
So, it's been hard for the writers' room, actually, because nobody wants to write Transformers questions because then they got to rewatch the movies. So.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, man, I have to watch more than the first movie.
Yeah.
No. But, yeah, no, it's, no surprise with movie release dates because when it comes to like movie release dates, Oscars, and that kind of stuff, Caleb is incredible in those categories. So that's not a surprise at all. And this is just going to be two really entertaining people. So you'll have that aspect as well. They're both very laid back and, they can crack, but once the game starts, they're all business. So I think this is going to be like, sorry, I'm just kind of going ahead that I don't really know who to pick as a winner in this match. I mean,
no, I hear you. I'm tempted. I think Transformers could play a part into this in round two. I could see that getting spun because these extra categories are getting spun quite frequently ever since we added them to the wheel. So I'm picking Sandy in a close one, but don't count out Caleb.
Oh yeah, I think if it does, I know this is such a burnout trope in this format, but it all depends on the wheel. I mean, but we keep using it because that's how it always goes. I think if Sandy or if Caleb rolls opponent's choice, he'll probably get Transformers from Sandy because Caleb has been somewhat vocal in that, like, okay, I don't like the Transformers films. But at least, I mean, he may have changed that. I don't know. That's the last I heard. But so yeah, I don't know. It really just depends on who gets what strength or weakness in the second round. But man, I think, and I like both of these people, so that's why I hate picking two. It's like I'm good buddies with both. But I'm gonna have to lean. I'm gonna have to lean with Sandy. I can't bet against Sandy.
Nope, I hear you on that one. Another factor in round three, some people, longtime fans of the Geektacular division, may have noticed, we used to have questions from 1 to 12. So it was the main 8, as we referred to in the main 8 fandoms, plus 4 more categories. Now we've increased that to 17 or 18. So some of these extra categories you're going to see in round 3. We taped an exhibition match a couple days ago that you're going to see very soon featuring Jay Burns. And there was a Matrix question in round 3. So some of these extra fandoms are getting mixed into round 3 now. So maybe Caleb's going to get a 5-point Transformers question. You don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Now that list is out there, it's a little extra studying for you folks, but it's going to make for more interesting matches too, I think.
Oh, absolutely. No, I love adding those little, 3 or 4 movie series in. That's really cool. So I'm excited to see where it goes.
And another thing, a lot of people have been asking, how the list was kind of picked, and are we going to be adding possible franchises to that? And our intention is, at the end of every season, is to get suggestions from our competitors, and we're going to revisit the list. So maybe there's a category that nobody's picking from that we might give a year break, and we might slide in a new fandom into its place. So that kind of thing is going to happen, but it's going to happen after the season, after our Funtacular in December. So stay tuned for that. We are going to be asking for competitors' input, I believe, as well. Okay, so now that that's out of the way, let's talk about the standings, because I've been tinkering with this formula for quite a while, ever since I introduced rankings, because I wanted a stats-based way of determining the rankings where it's not just popularity or strength of schedule or anything like that. Because the one thing that never changes in these matches is the questions. I kind of wanted to take opponents out of the equation and just have it be about questions. So we determine our rankings on a formula that includes win bonuses are worth 20 points, plus all your round 1 questions that you answered right, all your round 2s, all your steals, all your round 3s. You get an extra 10 points for a knockout, an extra 5 points for a TKO to give you a total points, and then we deduct 20 points for a loss, 10 points for a KO, 5 points for a TKO to arrive at your final number. And I found that this is the fairest way to get the competitors lined up so that it actually kind of makes sense. You see all the 3-win people are at the top, and then some 2s, and then all the 1s. But I wanted to take away the how do you determine this 3-1 person is over this 3-1 person if they've never played. By doing it this number way, that's how we can do that. So I thought we would actually go through all the rankings.
All right, sweet.
All right, so let's take a look at what we got here for our rankings. We're going to start with 39 to 31, and you'll see Hunter Chambliss there at 0-3, followed closely by Hillbilly Scribbs, also at 0-3. The Renegade Keith Kennedy, Garth Harkness McMurray, only with 1 match. Josh Mabry, who only played 1 match early in Season 1 and then was banned from Geektacular. I believe he's eligible to come back if he wants to. He's at 35. Andre Balabag, Leida Garcia, who has a match coming up in May. There's your manager, Nico Regoli. Minus 7 points. He's at 32, but a good performance here today is going to vault him up quite a bit. And then at number 31 is Devontae King, who just had his first match here. Started off slow, but came on strong in the end to go into number 31 there. In those first 9 names there, Nick, anybody surprise you?
I would say, yeah, there aren't really any names in here that really like terribly. I mean, it's a lot of these people just had 1 match and maybe just had an unfortunate performance. I mean, I know both Hunter and Hillbilly. It's just it's really just how it goes. I know Hunter's a good player and he's getting better, and also Hillbilly. I know he can perform well. I think he's just had some really unfortunate matches. I mean, to be 0-3 and only be negative 37 in your point rankings is not that terrible considering.
No, you're absolutely right. Actually, his last match against Nick Tuhig was his best by far. Like he got a ton of points in that match. And
I mean, and arguably Tuhig, in my opinion, is one of the best geek players out there right now across the whole thing. But David Garcia and some of them might have an issue with that, but I mean, that's why I say one of the best. And then some of the, obviously Nico, I mean, I know he's going to bounce back. He won't be in this bottom half for very long. And the other players I haven't really seen much of anything of. Garth, I know he's getting used to the game, so I think he's gonna bounce back at some point because the guy's knowledge is insane for a lot of different reasons. So I think I think there's definitely people, once they get another opportunity and they learn how the game works a little more, they'll bounce, they'll get up that standing a little bit.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at 30 through 21 now. Here we got Ethan Naftalin, had his first match not that long ago. Jackson Ladner has been competitive in both of his at 0-2.
Oh, yeah.
To only be at minus 2 points, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Dylan Danger Zone Ward at 0-1, and then we get into plus territory here. Malcolm Lay, Jimmy Derry. There's TJ Starman, who was supposed to be competing here today but couldn't make it. Jay Burns vaulted up quite a bit. His first match he did from work inside the cooler. It didn't compete that well, but he did very, very well in his second match in a TKO victory. Vaulted him all the way up to 24. Jay Overmeyer, who I just booked in a match, coming up here. He's in at 23. There you are, Nick, at number 22. Again, a 10-point jump. You were at 32, so that's a pretty good performance there. And then Jonathan Peck, the Raptor Master, getting his first win. He is at 21. You're taking maybe on this grouping.
Yeah, so I will definitely, those are all very solid people. Like I said, I did lose to TJ. That's his only win. And that was one that like I said, that was a long time ago, but he did win. So, I mean, that would be fun to play him again. I mean, we'll talk about that a little bit later, but I would say the main person that I can definitely see not being here too long is Jay Burns. Because he has been studying his butt off like crazy, and he's just a very especially geek. I mean, he made it to the Full Metal Geek. Was it Full Metal? I'm getting leagues mixed up, so I apologize for anyone out there watching. But he made it to the finals against Robert Parker in one of the Geek Leagues. So the guy knows his stuff. So that guy, the more opportunities he gets, like he's going to be very dangerous in World War Geek when we talk about that later. That one, and I think Malcolm is getting better too. I mean, Jimmy's also always very good. I just know he gets in his head sometimes. Yeah, I don't know. I could see a lot of movement going on in this bottom group, once they get more position.
It is a very good group of competitors. I really like that group, and you're going to see some big movement, like you said.
Yeah,
some real contenders in World War Geek. If they draw a good number, they can go a long way. So let's take a look now at 20 through 11.
All right.
We'll start with Alex Frost, who's been commentating a lot of matches for us. He's going to have a match coming up against Jimmy Derry before World War Geek, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Mark Meyer, surprised to be at 19. I know other iterations of the top 10, he's been a lot closer to the top 10, but when you factor in points and his loss to Ruben, he did not perform well in that match. That's why he's down at 19. But if he can do well coming up here against Joe Fairley, he's going to probably be top 10 easy. Then you got Nazario Montenegro, Prudvi Raj, Kyle Gerbrandt, who we haven't seen too much. I've got to get him in a match here pretty quick. There's Adelaide Spence at number 15. Number 14, Ryan Payne. Jim Green, Ishan Bajpai, and number 11 is Albert Werderama. What do you think about this group here?
Ooh, obviously you can tell we're going up the list. These are, all of these. My other loss is Prudvi. So that was the situation that Nico's going to be in today. It was a guy who had never played anything before, and I gave him I spun opponent's choice and gave him his strength, which thus basically won him the game. So I was so that's kind of another one that's I'm maybe if he does return, I know he's been busy with a bunch of other stuff, but if he ever returns, I would love to get another shot at him too, sort of a revenge tour of sorts. But yeah, you got Mark Meyer. We talked about him earlier. I think his match against Joe is going to be a match of the year. Nazario is an extremely solid player across the board. Adelaide is getting better and better every match I've seen him in. Of course, Ryan Payne, you can't ignore him. He knows his geek. And number 11, Albert is an extremely good player. I've been working with him in some other stuff, and I'm very curious to see who he ends up going against next time. But he is a very good player.
He does have a match coming up. I just can't remember against who. We'll go through the schedule here right near the end of the show. But it's time now to look at the top 10. Of course, these are all updated. This is the group that have more than one opportunity, I believe, in World War Geek. Let's take a look.
Yeah.
Number 10, Chris the Lone Wolf Diaz. Antonio Chavez at 9, Caleb Coho at 8, Nick Tuhig in at number 7, Dave the Dragon Lees at 6, Ruben Colon at 5, Thomas Scully at 4. He finally gets a match here coming up that he's very much looking forward to.
Oh, yeah.
And then you look at the top 3 separated by 5 points. David Garcia at 128, Mike Shea at 126, Joe Fairley at 123. That's a very tight grouping for the top 3. You can pretty much guarantee whoever has the next match, which I believe is Joe Fairley, is going to score enough points to overtake the number 1 spot here.
Oh, yeah. Looks like, Joe is the next one, according to, I got it pulled up on the other screen here. Man, that's, it's like, you've got the best of the best across both leagues here, showing that they, both Thomas Scully and Nick Tuhig are the 2 main ones that stick out here. Mainly because I've seen them a lot in the fandom league, which I know is a slightly different format. So but they do have the core categories as well, and both of them are dominating in that league. So it's tough. So like you mentioned earlier, Thomas and Dave Lees are playing each other in a couple weeks, or no, that's not a couple weeks. That's next week.
Yeah, next week.
So, but no, these are the the players that everyone's trying to go after. So I think you've got a lot of really solid players, and any matches between anybody in this top 10 is going to be excellent.
You want impressive? Take a look at number 4, Thomas Scully. Only had 2 matches and scored 91 points. So that's 40 points for wins. He scored 17 out of a possible 20 in round 1, 19 out of a possible 20 in round 2, plus 5 steals.
Oh, yeah.
And he gets 10 points for 2 consecutive TKOs. So that is beyond impressive.
Oh,
and you're going to see Thomas Scully in the top 3, if not the top 2 here after his next match.
oh, definitely. Like I said, Scully is a force to be reckoned with, and I think he will be number 1 at some point. Sorry, David. I think he'll be with you, but he'll be competing for that number 1 spot.
Yep. So that's our rankings as of March 14th as we tape this. Let's just talk real quick about some of the upcoming matches we got. You had mentioned, Nick, next week we got a huge one. Dave the Dragon Lees taking on Thomas Warhawk Scully. And very exciting match. I've had this circled on my calendar for a long time. And I know Thomas is not looking past Dave Lees. Dave Lees is a very tough competitor.
Oh yeah, and I was very impressed with his match that he had already, and yeah, Thomas is very good about not looking past anybody. I mean, as like I said, the only times I've seen Thomas lose is against Robert Parker, so that should tell you something. So I mean, the guy's just crazy good. So I mean, and you don't want to look past the other guy, but I mean, I think Thomas will pull this one out, but I do see it being a very close match. I definitely don't think it'll be a TKO for either person.
I can't wait. That's going to be a great one. Another great one, I think, Mr. VHS, Nazario Montenegro, is taking on Caleb the King Coho. Haven't seen Caleb compete in a while. Of course, he took Robert Parker right to the limit in a Geektacular match, beat him in a singles match, actually, here in the MTFO. He's taking on Mr. VHS, who was in the singles final against Jake Marangoni. So this is going to be a great match, I think.
Oh yeah, for sure. These are 2 guys that go up against each other in multiple things, in multiple leagues, so they know each other pretty well. I think they know their strengths and weaknesses pretty well. So that'll be curious how that wheel plays out. But they're both very solid players. They both have things that they are really strong in. So if those categories come up, that they could easily get perfect rounds. So it'll be a great match, and they're both, and also for the entertainment factor, the banter is going to be excellent between those 2. So that's going to be a fun one. I mean, especially if the Elk's on the call too. Oh man, that's going to be there's going to be some good stuff going on in that outside of the match itself.
Absolutely. That's a great point. One more match I want to bring up real quick before we wrap it up here today. We had to take, because Adam Collins was originally supposed to take on Brandon Dunlap. Now we've moved Adam Collins up to this match, so Brandon doesn't have an opponent on April 11th and 12th. So I kind of put the call out on the Geek Channel. Anybody who hasn't competed or looking for their first win is eligible to take that spot. And right now, I think we have 3 or 4 people who've expressed interest. So what we'll do on the Geek Center before that match is we'll actually bring up a wheel, we'll have everybody's name on it, and we'll determine that way who is going to be playing Brandon Dunlap the weekend of April 11th and 12th. So if you don't have a win yet, or you're a first-time player, please go on the Geek Channel, tag me in your post, and let me know that you're interested and you're available that day or that weekend. We haven't said on a day or a time yet. And we'll get you on the wheel, and we'll hopefully get you into that match. Another opportunity before World War Geek. They're becoming fewer and farther between as we get closer and closer to May 24th and the big event. Nick, you've punched your ticket there. You've got a spot in the main match. How are you feeling heading into World War Geek?
Oh, that felt good. I'm still to be honest, that's one of my first singles wins across all leagues. So I'm still that's why I was so nonchalant when I won, because I didn't even realize what happened. So anyway, I'm not trying to, but I'm super happy to be, because that looks like a fun time, and I'm just happy to be on a roll. I know it's one match, but going in hot to this, to this big free for all World War Geek, and I'm just happy to be a part of it, and hopefully I don't get too terribly screwed by a number. So we'll just have to see. So
it's all luck of the wheel, right? So who knows? Maybe you'll end up with number 30, or you have to compete in one round and walk away with the Geektacular Championship.
Oh yeah, I mean, if I would be happy with anything in the last. If I get anything in the last 10, I will be elated. I mean, other than that, if the number is what it is, if I have to answer a bunch of questions, I'll be ready. So I think it'll be a great time. I can't wait for it to come up.
You could always pull a Bibiani, right, and go from the first grouping all the way through.
And just push my chair away and just stand the whole time.
There you
channel Bibiani. All right.
Another thing I can announce right here is the Saturday before, I'm going to be doing the live drawing for the seating of World War Geek. So that's going to be live on our YouTube channel, so you won't want to miss that. We'll have everybody's name on the wheel, all transparent. We'll be spinning it and determining the seating for World War Geek. That's going to be a great time.
Nice. That'll be awesome.
All right, Nick, I'd like to thank you very much for joining us this week. We got a couple of great matches coming up, so you want to check those out. And please, like I said before, check out all the other great content throughout YouTube here, throughout this whole Fan League community. You got feature presentations, you got Multiplex, you got Full Metal. They got a ton of shows over on Full Metal and Multiplex and all over. And check out all the different podcasts and YouTube shows of our fellow contributors. Go to the Content Creators channel on our Discord. They're all pinned on there. And if you're going to be quarantined, you got to have something to do, right? So there's no sports. Watch the Schmodown, watch us, watch all these other fantastic people. And on behalf of Nick Carley, my name again is Corey Morissette, and we'll see you next week on Geek Center.